Welcome, everyone. Porsche X South by Southwest 2023. I am so happy to be here. It is so cool to see so many people here, and I am extra excited for everyone up on stage. I feel like it's a mini family reunion. I really love all these people on this stage a lot, and we should probably introduce them and talk about what we're going to talk about so you understand why I'm so excited.
We absolutely do. Really quick, you guys were so responsive. I'm going to do a quick official pulse check for us. It's been a day for you. I'm sure you've all been walking around, seeing amazing things. But South by Southwest, how are you? Oh, that's really good. You guys are really good. This is going to be fun. This is going to be good. All right, Andrew, my friend, do you want to just start and we'll kind of go down the line? You want to introduce yourself to the people who have joined us today?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Andrew. I host a podcast. I am a huge Porsche fan through and through. I came from a world of music, so I've been coming to South by for almost 10 years now in different aspects, from unofficial showcases and DIY bands to now being here with Porsche talking about these rad topics. So it's definitely a full circle moment. I've really been loving it. What else can I say? My favorite ice cream flavor is mint chocolate chip. That's about it.
Mine too.
Really?
You want to be best friends?
We're friends.
I love this. All right, everybody, welcome Andrew, please. Good job. You guys are doing great. If we were like grading this, it'd be an A. It'd be an A. All right, Bob, would you like to introduce yourself and your title, please?
All right. Hey, I'm Bob Wheeler. I'm president and CEO at Airstream Incorporated. Western Central Ohio.
Yes.
Any Ohio?
Yes.
Yeah, right? There's some really cool people here. I told you.
I've been with Airstream for 20 years, which actually at Airstream means you just got off probation. So I'm feeling good about my future there. And came in as a product design and development guy and became president 17 years ago. So, and having a lot of fun here at South by.
We love it. Thank you so much for being here. Steffen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hello, my name is Steffen Ganz. I'm head of design of Porsche Design of America. So I am, as opposed to Ingo, working on design projects that go beyond the actual car design. So we work in different categories like mobility design, architecture and product design, and try to translate the Porsche philosophy, the Porsche design, to products besides car design.
We love it. Everybody welcome Steffen, please. See, you guys are already knowing what I'm going to say. I'm loving the anticipation of my need. Thank you. Thank you. It's making me feel very seen. Ingo, friend.
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm a bit jealous. You've got your own fan club here. I don't. As you can tell by, my name is Ingo Scheinhutte, and as you can tell by name, it's a funny German name, so I come from Germany. I work for Porsche. My title is I'm head of exterior design, advanced design. So as Steffen already mentioned, I'm stuck with car design. I'm not allowed to do anything else. And me and my team, we're mainly working on projects like these you see here in the room. So the more a bit fun, expressive concept cars that we do from time to time at Porsche.
We love it. Welcome, Ingo. Thank you. All right, lastly, my name is Sydney Ham. I am a TV and film actor. I am also a live show host, which is why I get to be here with you all today and our super cool, super fun guests. It is a joy and a dream for me. This is my second year at South by, and the second year for both Porsche being here, so we all started together, and getting to co-host with my friend Andrew. This is why you guys are seeing a ton of excitement. Steffen and Ingo were both here last year, and it's really been like a family reunion this entire time. So if you'll bear with us, there's a lot of joy, a lot of energy, a lot of fun, and we have such great topics and amazing conversation in store for you today. I'm gonna go ahead and suggest that we all get comfy. Yeah?
Yeah, let's do it.
Thank you guys for being here. We're so happy to have you. All right, so here's the deal. I've already kind of given you all the rundown, but I also have a background in human development, in behaviorism, meaning that I'm essentially a professional people watcher and people observer, learner, what have you. That means I like to get to know the people that are on stage. I like to know kind of where they came from, why they're here, and what brought them to their position. With that being said, I'd love to start with you, Bob, because you're the newest addition to this stage family here. can you tell us a little bit about your background? I know that, now you've gotten to the position of president and CEO, but what was it for you that drew you to Airstream?
Yeah, so I was a car guy right out of engineering school. I worked for GM, but I got into the RV recreational vehicle industry 30 years ago. Don't repeat that outside of here, please.
We won't tell anyone.
When I came to Airstream in 2002, I walked into the factory and I remember thinking, this is a place I can work the rest of my career. The love of the brand, the iconic design, the acknowledgement that Airstreams really represent something aspirational, much different. It's not just a product, it's a beautiful piece of industrial art, but it's got a soul. All of that drew me to the brand. I've been honored and blessed to work there for the last 20 years.
I love it. I love to hear it.
Can I ask a question about that? Coming from GM, coming from cars, what was that feeling? Like you had already established a career, going to Airstream, like when you walked in, when you knew that, when you're like, I could be here forever. Like, was it the people? Was it what were the things that stood out to you instantly when you were there?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I remember walking into the factory my first day and seeing people working with such intent, such care and craftsmanship. They clearly loved what they were doing. They were working on this thing that was going to help transform people's lives. I never felt that way working at GM. I was 14 levels from the top of the company, and I thought, all right, here's a place I can really move the needle in a very entrepreneurial way.
So you had your own freedoms, and people were actually making a difference, working on things they loved. You could feel it. You were a part of it. That's sick. That's so cool.
It's a very special thing to have a company culture like that, and I think that is absolutely, you are the embodiment of, really inspiring longevity. And motivating people to want to stay and want to be a part of the legacy and want to help figure out how to make that legacy grow and maintain itself. With that, Steffen, would you please also go into a little bit of what inspired you to join Porsche?
Yeah, for me, it always was a dream to work for Porsche Design. So I remember the first time I got in contact with a product designed by Studio F Porsche. Was the small kitchen appliances sets done by, or a collaboration actually with Siemens. So it was a coffee machine actually, and the first one that was made from aluminum. So beautiful, brushed, and it was just so, you see it still in movies actually. It's still a super nice design piece. Back then, all coffee machines were just made from plastic, right? So I think that was the point, not when I decided to go into industrial design or being a designer, but definitely that was the point where I said, okay, that will be my dream to work with this company.
I love that. I always get so warm and I have such fuzzy feelings whenever I get to hear people from Porsche talking about why they love being where they are. Because like I said, there is this sense of, or maybe I haven't mentioned it in this talk yet, but there is always, no matter who you're talking to, no matter what level they are or department that they are a part of, with Porsche especially, there is this sense of family, there is this sense of, togetherness and a constant spark, a constant passion that is evident in every single person. And what does that say? What beautiful thing does that say about the company that you all work for?
Well, I was going to add to that. I love these discussions, and it's like, Bob, you're at the top of the top, and every time we have these people on these stage, it's people, it's human, everybody cares, it's this passionate thing, and I think when you hear of brands as big as Porsche and Airstream, you don't think of people associated to them. And we're just constantly reminded that it is just people, and they all are so passionate. And that inspires me to bring that to everything I do. So it's cool to see that on such a high level demonstrated.
Exactly. Now, the theme of these talks has been collaboration, and we are going to talk about that between Airstream and Porsche. But before we do, I'm going to embarrass Ingo.
We got to learn about Ingo.
I'm going to embarrass Ingo. Ingo has a wonderful origin story as to why he loves Porsche so much, and I make him tell it every time he's on stage. I'm only a little sorry. Ingo, will you please tell the people what really started your love for Porsche?
Yeah, kind of have to know, thanks. But to be honest, I'm not so sure if it's really shines a positive light on my how I stand to people, because actually the first thing I remember in my life, so when I was kind of 3 years old, was not my mom's face or my dad's hug or the family pet was actually sitting in the back of 911. So it's kind of, always had a big love for the company, for Porsche. And yeah, then of course when I became of age and I got interested in certain things, I actually always thought about I want to be a product designer. So I'm always quite jealous about Steffen because he can work with so many different interesting products. But then I had this big love for Porsche and for cars in general, so I ended up being a car designer at Porsche.
Thank you for humoring me. And
Only
telling the
just a
story.
car designer, that's all.
Only just responsible for a good number of vehicles that we see on the road today. It's fine. Not like an actual legend with the legends next to you or anything. I fangirl really hard whenever I'm amongst these folks. So
With some legends in the crowd. I see
legends
you.
in the crowd as well. We see. He looks, he goes, where? With that being said, I would like to dive into the collaboration itself. Can you both talk about, maybe Bob, would you like to talk about the beginning stages of this collaboration and what inspired the common project?
Yeah, sure. Happy to. It's funny, you know, Roland Heiler sits here in the audience, the head of Studio F Porsche. We met 20 years ago at a vintage trailer show in Southern California just by happenstance, and he invited me to the studio and looked at work he was working on. And he shared with me that he owned a vintage Airstream that he used with his family. And right then I knew we had a common thread. This happens more than you might imagine. So we've been working on this idea, or tweaking this idea, teasing the idea of working together for 20 years. And then back in 2020, the studio reached out again and said, hey, are you guys interested in working on something? Hit us just at the right time when we were ready to, pick our heads up out of the trenches and start to push and think about the future of the brand. So we thought, who better than the company that's maintained maybe the world's most iconic sports car for 7 generations. And we decided to pull the trigger and work with Steffen and his team. And we'll be talking much more about the results. But that was the genesis of this project. It really goes back 20 years in the making. At Airstream, we're 92 years old, so it takes us a while to get around to doing things.
I love it. I also love that, we were talking about this backstage as well. It's 2 iconic companies and entities that have been around for such a long time. They've been part of our culture and have held sway over pop culture in a lot of ways for such a long time. Airstream's been around for 92 years. Porsche's been around for 75. The fact that these 2 companies would be so open to a collaboration of this nature and figuring out how to maintain the DNA of who they are at their core, and B, make sure that they are then taking the steps necessary to move forward and figure out how to evolve with the times and with the changing needs of their customers. I think it's a very special thing, and especially the fact that we get to sit here and pick your brains as well. Steffen, what was your mindset going into this collaboration?
Yeah, the first thing that when I get involved into that project was when actually one of the Airstream colleagues came over. We had a long discussion about Airstream, their approach, the idea of a potential project. And I was thrilled, of course. So a company with its experience of over 92 years of developing and preserving this design DNA, and then in collaboration with us, having our design philosophy and as well an icon. Actually, our company founder designed the 911, Ferdinand Alexander Porsche, and I think that's the most amazing thing to happen. These 2 brands coming together and talking about a new project.
It feels like a very natural collab. It feels like the ideologies behind your brands, the ideologies behind the 2 of you as individuals. It's such a special fit. We have an image behind us. Can we talk about some of the particulars, maybe some of the inspiration behind it? Steffen.
Yeah, sure.
What if they were like, nah?
Yeah.
Next slide.
We don't
I'm
feel like
busy.
it.
So again, as I said, the beginning is first of all, when you start such a project with companies with such background and with such a design identity, you first of all have to have long discussions about the brand identity. What stands for? So what do you think of? What is the core essence of the Airstream? And if you get a briefing on things you have to improve or to solve or to do, you have to actually first really understand what the project is about, right? And so we thought of, okay, what do you think of when you think of, what is the most important thing about when you think of Airstream design? Of course, everyone knows it's the silver bullet shape, right? Real metal, aluminum, and these round shapes. So we got this task of designing a very compact travel trailer that is meant to improve aerodynamics, to be compatible with the change in the automobile industry towards EV towability. So you have to be as efficient as possible. And so we came up with the idea of course, maintaining the essence of an Airstream design, round shapes, silver, but to improve the aerodynamics, actually, we had to cut off the round rear end that you're used to in Airstreams to improve aerodynamics and be more efficient. And we just learned, actually the status now where we are in the project is that we finished the design development, the industrial design part of it. We developed a 1/3 design model, which is presented here first time actually. It has been published 2 days ago, so it's all is brand new. We are looking forward to get some feedback here. And yeah, so we came up with this idea to create this very compact travel trailer that has a low profile to be aerodynamic, but as well to be garageable. So to achieve this, we had to have a combination of a pop-up roof and a lowering axle. So here you see some images, and one amazing thing is that we put into that rear end that we need to actually, where we need to deviate from this round shape, is that we have a rear hatch that can be opened, and yeah, and to enjoy the outsides, right? So you see this, the dinette area. So that's one important thing to do if you have a compact travel trailer like this, that you would like to create a roomy and spacey feeling inside and maximize the layout that you're given.
Can I ask a question there? So you have such iconic shapes and such iconic brands, and you're going to the drawing board and you're making this. How much of it is a nod to the original, and how much is it like, cool, make this thing that we're all so familiar with, and how much of it is, oh, we get a chance to innovate or try something new, or how much inside of that trailer is things that y'all would be really excited to go try out and use? Like, what was that balance? How do you maintain the integrity of the original thing while adding the future to it?
Right, so we typically start in the design development like this, looking into different directions. So we developed concepts that are closer, we say like more evolution of the current design, yet trying to resolve problems and to meet the tasks. And on the other hand side, we try to go into, okay, let's push some limits. Let's push the boundaries, try to challenge and think of new manufacturing techniques, think of, just pushing the limits. And
Bob, what was the reaction within Airstream or on the Airstream end when you were going through the process, when you were, I know you mentioned that, there's so much that goes into, what do we keep? What do we throw out? What, as Andrew was asking about, in order to maintain that identity and the iconic Airstream presentation, and yet also present something kind of fresh and new. What was that like?
Yeah, so in a process like this, we have to really challenge ourselves to think about what is essential about the brand. What is the key? What is the heart of that DNA? And you need to carry forward, and what can you let go of? Because if you cling to all the stuff you've clung to in the past, you end up with something that's the same as you make. So we had to really think hard about what are we willing to relax on. One of the things is rivets. You may notice there's no rivets in this particular travel trailer. But aluminum, that's key to our identity. The curve shape, not the same curve, obviously, as what we're used to. So we said, all right, let's relax on the rivets. Let's let these guys have some rein to run with. It's a fraught process. How do you take something that people are so passionate about, that's recognized as an icon of American design, and not screw it up? I don't want to be the guy that screwed it up, right? You know, I'm a steward of the brand. So this process with Porsche Design was amazing because they gave us a range of options from mild to wild, some of which didn't resonate. But when we saw this particular iteration, and not quite looking like this, but it struck a chord, we thought, all right, that's a shape. It's an Airstream, clearly. It looks like modern Airstream, which is what you want to convey just at your first glance. And it also meets the design brief of lightweight, easy to tow, aerodynamic, garageable, which is a big key, and something that people could really fall in love with, this beautiful piece of industrial art. So when we saw this one design direction, we said, all right, well, this is something we can really push forward with and refine. And we did that with the great help of Porsche Design, and what you end up with is what we have here. But it's a nerve-wracking process because people are very passionate about Airstream and the lifestyle and its 92-year history. So we really have to be respectful, but we also can't stagnate and rest on our laurels. And we're a company, I mean, we make Airstreams in a cornfield in western central Ohio. If we don't invite outside voices in to push us and push our understanding of the brand, we'll die on the vine. We'll be yesterday's news. So this whole process was super energizing, and we couldn't be happier with the result.
It's really funny you say that because I think a very common theme, again, this is called Porsche X, it's embracing collaboration, and a lot of the people from the entire scope of talks we've talked about have talked about like letting people bring their best side to the brands and collaborating because, hey, you do this best. And it's cool that these brands are humble enough to say, oh, what if we did work together? Something great could come from that, and it's cool to hear that. Another question that I had is, I was over here looking at these renders being like, all right, sweet, sign me up. Like, when do they get, like, when can you order them? You just launched this concept. Like, again, you're unveiling this at South by for the first time. If for anyone who hadn't seen it, in the back corner, there is the 1/3 scale model that you can go look at. I was ready for this to be, in summer, you can pre-order. That's not the case. It's still very, well, maybe not early concepts, but it's early. How much will change? Like, what is the probability of it getting built? What are some challenges you run into if it does go to production? Like, what's it look like from now until potentially going to market if it did?
Yeah, that's the question, capital T, capital Q, right? So when you start out on these design explorations, you really want to cut loose and let the designers push the brand into new and exciting and challenging places. But during the course of this process, we can't help ourselves. We fall in love with a particular design, and then we start thinking, how can we make it? All right, can we tweak this a little bit so we can make this panel? You know, can we change the shape of this glass? So we're trying to steer it back towards something we could produce, and I think we've done that. Now, it's a long ways from being producible the way we know how to build RVs. You know, we rivet things together. And we love the humble rivet, but there are better ways to assemble vehicles these days. So we're challenging ourselves now to take this beautiful design and figure out, and maybe with the continued help of Porsche, how do we turn this into a production vehicle? You know, I can't make any promises. I told my folks I wouldn't overpromise, but you know, we're determined to figure out if we can do it, and if not, many of the features that you see here, very innovative on the exterior and interior, will make their way into future Airstream products. So there's kind of a no-lose situation from our standpoint.
Well, another thing that I was kind of learning as I was poking and preparing for this talk is even where it sits right now, talking about bringing it back to being human and excited people that are passionate about the brands, it actually could have stopped a lot earlier in this process, and everyone kept falling in love with it and kept pushing a little more and more, right, with this? Can you guys speak to that a little bit of how this continued to evolve to even be at this spot?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that the rivets, that was a big question for me. So I said initially, for me, it's definitely the round shapes, the silver real metal, aluminum. That's part of the DNA, definitely. But I was not so sure about the rivets. I know that that's part of the amazing craftsmanship that Airstream is having at the facilities. At the same time, in regards to the design DNA of rivets, I was thinking the original Airstream was inspired by aircraft manufacturing, right, in the early 1930s. And so I thought, if you want to translate this to nowadays manufacturing methods and look at how nowadays aircrafts are being made, they fuse with high-end adhesives and compound materials, aluminum panels, and with phenomenal, let's say, results actually in terms of aerodynamics, cost, durability, and so on. And so there was one key element. I was saying that, okay, let's try to propose not using rivets at all and see how the reactions are, because this is actually the future. You can have a lot of benefits there. And yeah, that's one key element.
I would love to loop Ingo into this actually, because I'm curious with what you do, what from the car design perspective, what are your thoughts on this process, this collaboration, and are you inspired by the ways in which they carried out this collab?
So I'm allowed to give a bit of a design critique to Steffen and talk about what I like or not.
I love this so much right now.
You guys touched on some really, really interesting points that I know from my everyday life with the Porsche cars as well. You've got an incredible, iconic product. Figuring out what to do, what to leave, what to modernize, it's not only a hard process, it's bloody painful. And as well, you need that outside view from time to time from people telling you, hey, trust me, it still works. It's still an Airstream, it's still a Porsche, although you're doing some really, really big things differently now. So kudos to you guys. I think the result is incredible. And as well, from a point how to foster, how to develop a brand into the future. Because Steffen, what you just said on thinking about how came from airplanes, the rivets, and how do they build planes now these days. This is actually a similar approach to what we have at Porsche from time to time as well. Because we don't think about, we've got this old car, let's take the old car, make a few things differently to make it look more modern. But the right approach, if you really want to foster a brand, is you rather think about if the same guy who built the Airstream 92 years ago, or the first Porsche 75 years ago, if he would be alive today and would have the same task, what would he do? What would Mr. Porsche build these days? And I think carrying this spirit into 2023 is something you guys did, and I think that's incredible.
I love it. I also, what a wonderful opportunity to have discussion between these two departments, you know?
Yeah, that's something that we're learning too, is it's actually pretty rare for these folks to be together. Like you hear Porsche and you just assume everybody's all working together and they all know each other, but conversations like this and learning about the different departments and how they all kind of get to meet and have these discussions in different ways here at South by in real time is pretty rare. So this isn't some scripted staged thing. This is us asking, and it's really, really fascinating to hear you talk about it like this. And to have you as a part of it as well. It's like all of the heads of making these things happen just here having a discussion. It's insane.
I would like to ask if I could, Bob and Steffen, whoever is most inspired first to speak on it, but did this process teach you anything new, respectively, on maybe how you might approach collaborations moving forward, or how you can continue this air of, or this ideology of evolving as well?
Yeah, for sure, and that's frankly why we do these things. I mean, that collaboration, it's a muscle, and if you don't use it, it gets weak. And you start to fall into your own thinking, circular thinking. And to bring in an outside organization, and not just anyone, but one with a design eye that Porsche has, brings the right kind of energy. They understand what we're trying to do to maintain what's essential about the brand for the next generation. So we knew we were in good hands, first of all. But the process is challenging. Look, they're presenting ideas that they're passionate about, that we hated, and, well, maybe that's too strong a word, but we pushed back on. And so it's a dance, really, of listening to their thoughts and thinking about where the design can go, thinking about our history and heritage, and, you know, relaxing a little and letting things move forward. So that process of stretching the boundaries about where you think the brand can go and can be is very, very helpful in all sorts of ways. You know, whether it leads to this exact trailer or 1,000 other products, that mindset of, you know, don't get stuck in the past, you know, honor your history, but don't be bound by it. That's very, very important for a company as old as we are.
I love it. Steffen, how about you?
Yeah, so we, as a design studio, look in so many different industries, and of course with every project we learn a lot, and this is what we can bring to the table, right? If we work in mobility projects or in architecture where we create interiors for big builders or small buildings all over the world, where we gain knowledge how to create a beautiful premium interior for this travel trailer as well, or if it's like in the digital field or in product design. I think this is one thing that we bring to the table. And of course, we need to learn, first of all, before we can start sketching and creating ideas. And here we had to learn that what is Airstream capable of doing manufacturing-wise, right? So we can, as a designer, you can think of lots of different shapes, right? You can go wild and think of, oh, wow, is this automotive design enough? What about all those beautiful 3D shapes we see here in the cars? No, they have a different manufacturing methods, which is actually beautiful what they can do. And there's a lot of craftsmanship that goes into the manufacturing. And they use a method that's called stretch forming on the aluminum panels. So we had to take this into account, what is actually possible, right? What can we do? How can we realize a shape that is beautifully round, but is yet feasible to realize, and not just, you know, something that is beautiful but would never see the light of the day because it's way too expensive to manufacture, right? So as you won't realize, but the let's say the middle section of it is just 2D bent aluminum, so that's easy to do. There's no forming necessary, probably at least not complicated to do that. But this actual end panels and the front panels are 3D formed, and this is actually what you can do with it, right? And it's just beautiful what came out. Yeah.
You know, one other thing I want to key on just a little bit, we've been talking a lot about this beautiful exterior shape, but a lot of the innovative work that happened on the inside, and the features that were developed as part of this design brief. The pop top, well, that does a number of things. First of all, it lowers the front profile, the front section, so that it improves aerodynamics dramatically, but allows you to have a full standing height on the inside. It's also a key part of making it garageable. Again, this is part of the design brief. We have a lot of urban customers that can't leave an Airstream in their driveway or leave it on the street, and they need to be able to put it inside. So in its fully retracted position with the lowering axle, that's another key part of this, you can sneak this thing under a 7-foot garage door. So better aerodynamics and also garageable, but still giving you full height functionality on the inside. Some of the key interior features, like the convertible bathroom, and there's a lot of detail here that's been as part of our press releases, where, you know, everything in an Airstream needs to serve more than one purpose because we're so constrained by space. So to have a bathroom that serves as your toilet room, your WC, and the shower with a wall that swings to separate the two in a very, very small footprint. The bed that converts to a dinette or a table, and then maybe most strikingly, that rear hatch and tailgate. We have rear hatches currently in our product lines, and they're very popular, but we don't have anything like this tailgate concept, which gives you, it extends the living space and gives you this platform or patio on which you can experience the outdoors and bring it in. So tons of innovative thinking just beyond the shape itself, that, as I said, some of these features can and will make themselves into future products, but it all came together in this very compact 16-foot trailer, creates a very livable space that easy to tow, aerodynamic, lightweight, and lends itself really to being pulled by EVs, which is, we know that's where we're headed in the future, and we cannot get behind the curve on this.
And you keep using the term garageable, and all that pops up in my head is I'm originally from LA. You know, there's a lot of development. There are a lot of urban areas. Not everybody has a driveway, like you said. So it seems very exciting because I think that it sounds like this is kind of ideal for a younger demographic as well.
Yeah, really, the idea was create something for the next generation of Airstreamers that they can look at and recognize it's not their grandparents' Airstream. It looks easy to tow. It looks efficient. It looks sexy. It looks muscular. It looks like it's moving 100 miles an hour when it's sitting still, which typifies the Porsche brand as well. So, you know, it's got to have sex appeal, but then it also has to make sense and be functional and practical for the Gen Z buyer and beyond, or they're not going to buy it. So that's the joy of this project. It checked all of those boxes.
I have a question for all of y'all. As you're very experienced in what you've done, you've been doing this for a long time. When this final render came to be, was like, what's the thing that stands out the most to each one of you of like, oh, well, that's a cool idea. Like, what did you learn from each other? Were you like, oh, I never would have thought of that. Or like learning, collaborating. What are the things where you're like, oh, nice. I see what you did there.
Yeah, I think for me, we were trying to shoot somewhere between people saying, oh, that's an Airstream, and saying, that's an Airstream? And I think we threaded that needle really well because you can look at it, immediately identifies itself as what it is. We don't have to put a logo on the side for you to tell it's an Airstream. So having something that is immediately the successor to the brand and its heritage, but also conveys the sense of newness, that's not easy. That is not easy. And those of you with a design background know what a subtle thing that can be. So that was really the main thing that really made manifest the talent we were working with within the Studio F Porsche group.
That's cool. Steffen, what about you?
Yeah, I think that what I love most about the design actually that we were able to keep this friendly look. It's a lovable piece, right? It's I think what everyone can say if you see an Airstream, it's that it's just a friendly, inviting appearance with all this modern, let's say, elements that this design has, and we were able to extract the very essence of the Airstream DNA by taking everything away that's not necessary, that could distract you from the actual design of the piece. Like, as you can see, there is no AC on top, there is no awning, and all the things that are being attached normally and add on to the design. I think this is really in line with the philosophy of our company founder, Ferdinand Alexander Porsche, who designed the 911 and took everything away, all the decorative parts, and created a, so he called it neutral car, which is actually not at all. In this case, he failed. And so, yeah, that's what I love about the most.
Well, and I do have to say, just looking at it from my perspective, you know, I keep referring to myself as the normie off the streets, but I also am a Porsche fan. I also am quite familiar with Airstream, and to look at something like this and to be able to recognize almost equal parts, you know, that fingerprint from Airstream and from Porsche, it's magical in a way.
Yeah, and to double up on that, I mean, one of the reasons is, I think, as well, because Airstream and Porsche get a very similar history in terms of where the shape comes from. So the Porsche shape itself, with this half-drop shape, with this fast-sloping roofline, was developed at the same time, at a similar decade, for aerodynamic reasons, as much as the Airstream was. This is why I think, even in terms of design history, so to speak, the collaboration is brilliant and really, really, really works. And actually, for me, it was quite interesting to see that you had to tackle the same issues we have to tackle, because aerodynamics in the last 100 years came a long way. And so how to improve on aerodynamics at the same time as to keeping exactly the shape, it's, yeah.
With that being said, I know that there's still, you know, you literally mentioned that it was finalized, or designs, industrial portions were finalized about 2 days ago, correct?
We finalized the design stage of it. Mm-hmm. Typically, it goes back to engineering, and that will be the next step. And yeah, we just released the project 2 days ago, on Thursday. Yeah.
So then, with that said, you know, as this is still very much in the process of we're still on this journey. does it kind of make you sit there and go, ooh, maybe we'll do something else again someday? Like, is there added interest? Because this sounds like it was a really enjoyable collaboration.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that we would work with the Porsche Design Group again. It was an easy collaboration, just challenging enough that it actually moved the ball forward. We didn't end up where we started, but very respectful, and who better, as I've said, than this group that's maintained iconic products for so many generations. So we would absolutely do another project. I'm sure we'll do another project in the future.
I love to hear it. With that, I can't really think of a better way to close this out except our wonderful panelists, Bob, Steffen, Ingo. They have all said that they would be open to answering a couple questions if you have any about Airstream, about Porsche, about the process. So I'm just going to do a quick little check to see if anyone has anything burning at the top of mind right now, anything you would like to ask, because these are fantastic brains. And how often do you have access? Hello, friend. Will you please join me here? You didn't know you were going to be part of the show, but you're part of the show. Welcome. What's your name? Where are you from? What's your question? Your haircut is very cute.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Jordan. I'm from here, Austin, Texas. As a fellow designer, I don't know much about car design. I'm more in the tech world, but we do a lot of user research before we can even start designing or create anything. And I didn't know if that was a part of y'all's process or if you have any past research that you work on top of.
That's a great question.
Yeah, for this particular project, we didn't want to get it too tightly in a box aiming at one defined demographic. We knew more generally what our future generation buyers want. We do a lot of market research, so we know who those people are, but we didn't really hand that brief to Porsche and say, design it for, Joe McWilliams. He's 32 years old, has a dog, and works in the tech industry, which is what is typical. So the answer is yes and no. How's that?
We love a por qué no los dos type deal. Yes and no. Any other questions for us while we are here? Everybody's taking in the info. I love it. Well, if you all will please join me in thanking Bob, Steffen, and Ingo for taking the time today. This was an amazing talk, and we learned so much. Everybody give it up for them. Now, if people want to follow the process, is there a specific website that they can go to, Bob, Steffen, to follow along or see what all is coming from you in the days and weeks and years to come?
Yeah, we have a section of our Airstream.com website called Air Labs, which is our kind of more innovative and creative experimental portion of the brand, its history, and stuff we've done in more recent years. So this product lives on there now, and any updates to its forward progress will be captured there.
We love to hear it. Andrew, I do love the way you close out our talks. Can you please tell the people how they can support the Porsche house, the Porsche experience, and make sure that we convince Porsche to come back next year?
Yes, but I selfishly thought of a question, and I know this is my last chance to ask it.
I love it. Please ask.
Okay, so again, two iconic giant brands. We now see this render. It went as far as it did. How does that start? Like, is it over dinner? Is it just being friends and having an interaction and being like, oh, what if? Is it an email? Are you trying to solve a problem? Like something as big as this now, and hopefully what it could be even bigger. Like, where is the inception of that?
Well, it starts with being open to the idea that you can let some third party come in and tinker with your baby, right? So it's that open mindset, but then also having a profound respect for the people that are wanting to do the tinkering, and that certainly goes back 20 years with Roland and the work that Studio F Porsche has done over many, many years.
But was that you as Airstream coming to Porsche, or like where did that?
Yeah, they actually approached us, and that's what struck the spark. We're like, hey, that's right, those guys are out there. We wanted to work with them. Now seems like a great time. Their timing was spot on. So that was the catalyst to kick this whole thing off, this whole crazy ride.
That's cool. The reason I ask it is, like, I think all of us to some degree collaborate all around in whatever industry we're in, and sometimes you feel like these are impossible, and you're like, oh, must be nice, or oh, these giant companies can do that, but I can't, and somebody has to start the conversation, somebody has to reach out. So I find that encouraging that even Porsche can come out and be like, hey, y'all wanna work?
And no matter who you are or where you come from, it never hurts to ask. Steffen, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I was just thinking that, of course, from a designer's perspective or a design studio, we often get approached by people who definitely want to solve a problem or would like to, I don't know, reach new grounds, attract a new group of customers. And I think this was the case here as well, right? That to attract a younger group of customers to address the change in the RV world of enjoying the outsides, especially during the pandemic. Everyone knows there was a thing you could do, right, if you could not fly somewhere to enjoy the outsides, go somewhere. And yeah, I think this is what we address here as well. So addressing especially younger people that live in an urban area, and and maybe, you know, this is maybe the first travel trailer that they are having, and that needs to be easy towable and lightweight and not intimidating, right? If you pull a huge thing, I don't know, it can be intimidating. You have to be sure that you can handle it.
That's cool. So it sounds like even though like it can be whoever who reaches out, the reason that you're reaching out, the reason you're collaborating is not just for the sake of it, but it's to solve a problem, or it's to innovate, and it's to add something to both brands.
That's a good starting point.
That's awesome. All right, now we should conclude. And the thing that I always say is, again, I'm just a huge Porsche fan. I'm up here learning with y'all. I love it. And I want to continue to encourage Porsche to come back here and to be a part of South by. So if you feel the same way, if you've enjoyed any of these talks, if you've enjoyed the booth, any of it, just if you post on social media, if you take photos or videos, use the hashtag Porsche SXSW so any of the Porsche squad that isn't here can see how special it was, and we can continue to convince them to come back.
With that, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for spending your time with us and for being such a fantastically immersed, you know, you were so engaged and so with it and so with us. But we really appreciate your time. We have more talks tomorrow. Is tomorrow Tuesday? What is time? It's our last day at South by. So if you're around, please come and join us. In the meantime, go enjoy the rest of your time at South by Southwest. Hydrate and be safe. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.